I'm your host, Paul Young, and with me is parent education expert, Jean Bradley. Welcome to another episode of Surviving the Teen Years.
Thank you, Paul. The early teenage years are often stressful for both adolescents and their parents. Teens may be confused about the physical and emotional changes they experience, while at the same time, parents might be facing their own midlife crises. Or sometimes parents worry about getting older when they compare their energy or lack of it to their child's youth and vitality.
And parents often worry that their kids will experience violence, negative peer pressure, become addicted to drugs, drop out of school, develop eating disorders, or even become suicidal in response to the many pressures and stresses they face.
Parents do worry, but most young people function well through their teenage years and go on to become contributing members of society. In this series of 10 videos, we will examine teenage behavior and help parents identify the issues that require serious intervention. We will look at ways that parents can help their children grow into healthy adults.
The topic of today's program is discipline. Let's watch a scene between a single mother and her teenage daughter. Think about what you would do if you were in this situation.
Can you please stop staring at yourself long enough so I can go to the bathroom?
Amy, what are you doing in there? Other people live here too, you know. Your homework better be finished.
I finished it an hour ago. Can't you leave me alone for 1 minute?
She's been in there at least 45 minutes.
Come on, Amy. Your brother's late for practice. Let him in now.
Yeah, give it up, freak. Nothing's gonna make you look better.
I want you to do the dishes right now. It's your turn today.
Am I in prison or can I have some privacy in my own room?
I don't like your attitude.
I'll do the stupid dishes later.
That's it. Look at this room. How many times do I have to tell you to clean this place up? Can't you show some consideration for the rest of the family? After all I sacrificed for you, you could at least treat me with a little respect.
Amy and her mother Judy were unhappy with each other. They've agreed to join us today to discuss what happened and to work with our expert to find different ways of dealing with the situation you just witnessed. Please welcome this family to our program. Amy felt like she needed more privacy in the bathroom and in her room. How did Judy respond to Amy being in the bathroom for 45 minutes?
Amy's mom definitely was not understanding or respectful of Amy's privacy.
Well, Amy was definitely not considerate of her mom or her brother. I know what it feels like. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she thinks the bathroom is her room. She spends more time in there than any other room in the house.
And it's especially hard in our apartment because the three of us share one bathroom.
Maybe Amy has a legit reason for being in the bathroom that long. How do you know if you don't ask?
What is the first thing that Judy should have done in this situation?
Well, Paul, it's important to keep in mind Amy's age. 13 to 15 is a vulnerable time, especially for teenage girls. This is a stage when teenagers are expected to distance themselves from parents just at the time when they need them the most. Largely because of puberty, Amy is experiencing emotional and physical changes. It's very important for parents to recognize these changes. Often girls at this age are starting to be especially self-conscious about their appearance. Wanting to primp in front of a mirror is to be expected.
But 45 minutes in the bathroom? I get out of the DMV quicker than that.
How long Amy was in the bathroom is not the question as why she was in the bathroom. I mean, Judy could at least recognize that maybe she was in there because she was feeling bad about her appearance that day.
I mean, I remember being 13, and it was the worst time of my life. You know, my body was changing, and my hormones were going crazy. And if, like, the day comes and my hair was, like, in a bad way, it would just, like, ruin the rest of the day for me.
Also, I mean, this is America. Our society and the media puts so much emphasis on the importance of beauty.
Maybe if Amy's brother, like, would stop calling her names.
I'm used to Roger doing that. What made me mad was when my mom let him get away with it.
Amy does worry about her appearance, especially her complexion. I guess I could make sure that Roger and I are more sensitive to that next time.
That is important. However, a house with one bathroom means that all members of the family have to be considerate of each other's needs. After all, Using a bathroom is usually a necessity. Perhaps Amy could also have her own dressing table or vanity in her own bedroom to use when other people need to use the bathroom facilities, or at least plan as a family some rules about using the bathroom. It was not fair that Roger was unable to use it.
What about how Judy responded to Amy's room being a mess?
It was a mess.
But Judy didn't have to nag her daughter about it.
I hate it when my mom lays these guilt trips on me, like I have to clean my room just because she's unhappy with her job or she's mad at my dad for some reason.
An effective alternative to nagging is to speak to the particular job that needs to be done rather than to the teen's personal deficiencies. For instance, instead of making Amy feel guilty for being irresponsible, Judy could have focused on what needed to be done and how Amy could accomplish it.
But what if you try that approach and the room still doesn't get clean?
Good point.
Declare it a disaster area and seek relief.
Maintaining a sense of humor helps place things in perspective and relieves tension. And rather than repeating a pattern of draining arguments, an effective tactic may be just to accept the teen's messy room if you're able to.
I have a friend who tells their teen that their room is their room, and if they can live in that mess, it's their business. But they said for the whole house that he would have to pick up after himself.
What can parents do if they absolutely cannot tolerate their teen's messy room?
If this is the case, ground rules should be clearly stated. For example, the parent can refuse to enter a messy room. If clothes are left on the floor, the teen can be held responsible for washing and ironing them. If the clothes are still not taken care of, the parent can refuse to buy new clothes until the teen learns to take responsibility for her possessions.
Does that sound fair, Amy?
Yeah.
I guess I could live with that. What frustrated me more than Amy's messy room was the fact that she hadn't done the dishes.
Maybe there could have been some consequences to Amy's not doing the dishes. I mean, other than you yelling and getting angry at her, I mean, that only causes more trouble for you.
That's an important idea. Not only does Judy become frustrated when Amy skips a chore, but she also has to deal with the unpleasantness of reprimanding her own daughter.
Teens do need to accept some responsibility for the home and family. However, expectations should be made clear when establishing chores. Parents should explain why they're necessary, what they want the teen to do, when and how they are to do it, and the consequences if the chores are not completed.
What about what the kids want?
Well, teens should be allowed to negotiate the terms with their parents. Negotiation enables teens to express their needs and demonstrate whether they are as grown up as they think they are.
I guess I've been treating Amy like she's still a child and not a teenager. You know, there's a lot that she does that makes me very happy. I just forget to tell her.
All children, including teens, have a need to belong. They will behave in the way that brings the most attention. Praising desirable behavior and ignoring behavior that is not liked but is not harmful often produces more desirable behavior. A parent might say, "I see you picked up your blouse. It will look nicer and hold up better because you're taking care of it." Other examples include, "Thank you for helping. I appreciate that." Or there could be consequences such as, "I know you want to go to the movies. You may go after the dishes are washed or after your room is clean."
I was mad because you didn't even notice that Amy said that she was finished with her homework.
That happens a lot.
Amy's a good daughter, and I know she's going through a hard time. I'm going to try harder not to take her mood so personally, and I'll also try to remember to praise the positive efforts that she does make.
I guess I don't always do my chores. I'm going to try harder to do them when I'm supposed to, and maybe my mom and I can talk together when I'm not feeling so good about myself.
That sounds terrific, Amy and Judy. Let's take a minute to summarize some of the key concepts from this section.
Number 1, the teenage years are a period in which young people have to adjust to new bodies, new feelings, and new responsibilities. Be aware of your teen's physical and emotional development. Number 2, by centering our attention on the goal to be accomplished rather than our teen's character or personality deficiencies, we are more likely to attain the desired result. Avoid nagging. Number 3, guilt is not an effective form of discipline. A sense of remorse will rarely motivate your teen into doing a job. And guilt is definitely not a long-term solution to teaching responsibility. Avoid creating feelings of guilt. Number 4, negotiation is the process of agreeing on something. It can mean problem solving or acknowledging a difficulty. It also enables teens to demonstrate whether they are as grown up as they think they are. Negotiate. Number 5, set clear expectations and meaningful consequences for the times when a responsibility is neglected. This will help avoid disagreements about tasks and punishments. Set clear expectations and consequences. Number 6, be constructive in a difficult situation by acknowledging positive behavior or effort on your teen's part. Praise effort. Number 7, de-emphasize the things that you have little or no control over, such as your teen's appearance. Pay more attention to behavior you like, and remember to maintain a sense of humor even when it comes to your teen's mood swings. Maintain a sense of humor.
Would you like to do the scene over to try the new parenting skills you just learned?
Definitely.
Good. Let's watch Judy and Amy and see what they do differently.
Can you please stop staring at yourself long enough so I can go to the bathroom?
Amy, did you finish your homework, honey?
I finished it an hour ago. Can't you leave me alone for 1 minute?
She's been in there at least 45 minutes.
Amy, remember we bought you the dressing table for situations like this. We only have one bathroom. We must be respectful of the needs of other family members. Your brother's late for practice. He just needs to use the bathroom quickly. I'm sorry you can't have more time in the bathroom, Amy. It's just that we all have to share it. Can I come in and talk to you?
Can't I have some privacy?
Look, I know you're going through a hard time, Amy, but you haven't done the dishes. And if you remember, we both agreed that you would do the dishes before phoning your friends.
Sorry. I do remember that. I'll try to do them now.
Wow. Looks like you were enacting the movie Twister in your room.
Did I mention I finished my homework?
Ah, very clever. Try to distract me. I'm very happy that you finished your homework on time, but I also need you to clean up this room.
Do I have to do the room tonight? By the time I finish the dishes, I'll be exhausted, and I'd like to call a friend.
Well, when do you plan to do it?
In a few more days.
Well, it's your room, so if you can put up with a mess for a few more days, that's okay with me. But the washing and ironing your clothes is your responsibility because I'm not able to enter a messy room. And however, we share the rest of the house, so I'd like you to help me keep that nice and neat. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Amy, I was once a teenager too, if you need to talk about anything.
Thanks, Mom. And I'll try not to take so long in the bathroom again.
Judy, Amy, how do you feel?
Well, I felt good because I felt like the problems were getting solved without me getting angry and Amy being resentful.
Yeah, even though I didn't really talk to her mom about why I was in a bad mood, I felt like I could if I wanted to because she was at least trying to understand.
Good. Now we're going to see another scene. Let's watch closely. Think about what you would do if you were in this situation.
Where have you been, Armand? I told you to be home by 10 o'clock.
I know, but John's mom...
I know, I don't want to hear any more buts. This is the second time this month you've been late. Obviously, I can't trust you to be responsible.
It wasn't my fault if you just listened to me for once. I tried to leave on time, but there was no one to give me a ride. I swear, John's mom got back from her party.
I don't care. You always have an excuse for everything, and I'm getting sick and tired of it.
John's mother doesn't care when he gets home. I'm the only kid I know who has a curfew before 11.
I don't care about the other kids. You have a curfew and you missed it again.
You're always blaming me for everything, even when it's not my fault. It's not fair.
That's too bad. I set the rules in this house, and you're supposed to follow them. Well, at least you don't have to worry about being late next Saturday, Armand. You're grounded for a week.
Armand and his father George had a difference of opinion about his curfew. They've agreed to join us today to discuss what happened and to work with our expert to find constructive ways of dealing with this situation. Please welcome this family to our program. Armand came home late on a Saturday night. He had what he thought was a good excuse, but his father George found it unacceptable. How did George respond to Armand coming home late?
Before Armand could explain anything, George labeled him irresponsible, criticizing him.
Well, it's not like George had a choice. He was angry. And it sounds like Armand has done this before.
Maybe Armand had a good excuse this time. Either way, shouldn't his dad at least listen to him before yelling at him?
Good point. Let's ask our expert. Was George's criticism a constructive way of dealing with this situation?
Well, Paul, most parental criticism is unhelpful when it comes from feelings of anger or frustration. It's much more useful for a parent to find a non-punishing way to express his or her frustration that doesn't create resentment in a teenager.
Yes, but how will Armand learn anything if I don't criticize him when he does something wrong?
There is, of course, a place for constructive criticism, but it should grow out of love, respect, and caring for your child.
I mean, in the scene we just witnessed, George verbally attacked Armand. I mean, I find that I'm more receptive to sympathetic teaching and guiding rather than being treated rudely.
Well, maybe George should listen to Armand's excuse first. But I don't find anything wrong with parents letting their kids know that they are angry.
Yes, but anger is a secondary emotion. George's anger is an expression of his basic feelings of anxiety. Attacking and lecturing are not constructive ways to express this anxiety. Yelling at Armand will not solve the problem of Armand missing his curfew in the future.
When my dad yells at me, I usually just tune him out.
Well, you know, it's hard because I guess it's easier to punish him when he does something wrong.
Yeah, but what's more important? Armand learning from his mistakes so they don't have to deal with this problem again? Or you expressing your anger?
Good point.
You can't teach your teenager about life by pointing out everything that they do wrong.
It would be more effective for George to focus on the particular problem that needs to be solved rather than express his anxiety by attacking deficiencies in Armand's character or personality.
Well, you know, I never really thought about changing my own behavior, but I could see how that may be as important as changing Armand's.
Maybe there wouldn't be a problem if Armand's curfew wasn't so early.
That leads us to our next question. Did George set a reasonable curfew for Armand?
No way. He's 14, not 4. I don't know anyone with a curfew that early.
Well, I have to admit, I have a 14-year-old son, too. But I let him stay until midnight on Friday and Saturday. Is that wrong?
Well, 10:30 or 11 is probably more appropriate for a 14-year-old boy. But whatever the curfew is, it should be a time negotiated between the parent and child according to their feelings, needs, expectations, and what is appropriate for the occasion.
When my kid leaves the house, I'm more worried about adult supervision than I am about the time they come home.
My curfew's at 10:30, but if I have to go to a school dance or something like that, my dad usually lets me stay out later because he knows that there are teachers and parents around to chaperone us. That way, my dad doesn't have to worry about me, and I get to have more fun with my friends. Also, that tells me that my parents care about me.
I have a friend who can do whatever he pleases. He thinks it's because his parents don't love him enough to care what he does.
Having limits helps children and teenagers feel more secure and cared about, even though they don't always act as if they feel that way.
It sounds like Armand went to a friend's house and was unsupervised by any adult.
Well, Armand was going over to his friend John's, and I guess that I just assumed that John's mother would be there because Armand and his friends were going over there.
I think we all have a responsibility as parents to make sure there are adults around wherever our children go.
I thought John's mom would be home, but when I got there, they told me she was at a party but would be back by 10. But she was late, and that's why I couldn't get a ride home. I tried to explain it to my dad.
George should have checked with John's parents to confirm that an adult would be home and that Armand would have a ride home. Parents have a responsibility to be sure their children are not put in situations over which they have no control.
Well, couldn't Armand have called George to tell him he was going to be late? That way
Yes.
George wouldn't have to worry.
He could. Armand also has a responsibility to call his father to let him know that he is all right and is waiting for his ride.
It's not like he was that late anyway. I hate when my mom gets all on my case because I was 5 or 10 minutes late. Sometimes you just can't help it.
I have a friend of mine who gives her daughter a grace period on her curfew, and if she's 15 minutes late, she doesn't punish her.
Grace periods are reasonable as long as they're clearly set up beforehand. We don't want our teen to take advantage of them every time they leave the house. But going 15 to 30 minutes over for a concert or a school event makes sense.
Well, Gene, I'm hearing some very good ideas.
One of the most important issues we're touching on goes back to good communication being the cornerstone of responsible parenting. George did not discuss with Armand what he should do if he was going to be late. Father and son also did not establish whether an adult would be present with Armand and his friends.
Parents are the primary role models for their teens. If we expect them to follow our rules, we have to be prepared to do so ourselves.
I think that a lot of us teens complain about curfews, but deep down, we know that our parents are setting time limits. They are very concerned about our safety.
Curfews also show them that despite their growing independence, they're still not fully grown, and we're still there for guidance and support.
I suppose that Armand and I can discuss extending his curfew. I mean, if that's all right with him.
Armand?
I don't like my dad to worry about me. And it's not like I don't think I should have a curfew. It's just that sometimes when I lose track of time when I'm with my friends. But I'll try to get home when I tell my dad I'm going to get home. And, you know, if I guess it would be easy to call, you know.
Sounds great.
Before we review, I'd like to share this thought. Keep in mind that raising a teenager is a process, and discipline is a very important part of that process. One of our goals as parents is to let our teens know that we care about them enough to set limits for them and to teach them to be responsible.
Let's take a moment to summarize some of the key points from this section.
Number 1, changing your own behavior may be as important as changing your teenagers. Parents need to learn how to discipline and communicate anger or frustration in a focused, clear, and constructive manner. Avoid attacking or lecturing. Number 2, parents who openly negotiate curfews, state them clearly, and enforce them fairly have fewer problems with their adolescents. Be reasonable and consistent. Number 3, just because teens miss their curfew does not mean that they are flaunting their disdain for authority. Usually, they are just having a good time with friends, and it is very difficult to stop in the middle of that to be home on time. Everyone, even adults, are late sometime or another. Give a grace period. Number 4, over-tolerant parents leave teens without any sense of boundaries or limits and the feeling that their parents don't care what happens to them. Set limits. Number 5, parents need to make sure that any party or social situation a teenager attends has an adult present. Ensure adult supervision. Number 6, so often parents say something only when their teenagers break the rules and never when they do something right. When your teens do come in on time, reinforce their responsible behavior with positive feedback. Reinforce positive behavior.
Would you like to do the scene over and try applying what you've learned about curfews?
Yes.
Let's watch George and Armand again and see what they do differently.
Where have you been, Armand? You know, I was very, very worried about you. You said you'd be home by 10 o'clock.
I know. I thought John's mom would be home to give me a ride, but she was at a party and she got back late. I guess I should have called.
Well, that would have been a good idea. You know, look, son, can you promise me that the next time you're late, you'll give me a call?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, maybe this is a good idea to discuss your curfew. I mean, this is the second time this month you've been late.
It's really hard because, you know, most of my friends' curfews are later. I always feel like I'm breaking something up, you know, just to get a ride home. I get a little embarrassed.
Well, I can understand that. You know, whether it's 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., it really doesn't affect me. It's just that when you're late, I become very, very concerned. Look, we can change your curfew to suit your needs, but can we make a rule for me, too?
What is it?
Well, I want to make sure that there is always a responsible adult, at least in the background, when you go out at night. So the next time, I'll call your friend's parents, okay?
I'd like that, you know. That way I'll know, like, if I can get a ride home on time.
Okay. You know, we also should discuss the consequences of you coming home late and not letting me know. What do you think it should be?
Well, I can not go out with my friends the next time.
Okay. Okay. The next time you're late, we'll both know that we don't have to argue when you come home. You'll know the consequences. Okay. You know, Armand, I feel better already, knowing that we both know what to expect from each other.
But what if I'm like 5 or 10 minutes late?
Well, I guess I'm a little late sometimes, too. Okay. How about this? How about if we give each other a grace period of 5 minutes on regular occasions? And if it's a concert or a sporting event at school, we'll give ourselves a 30-minute grace period. And that's to allow for traffic or events that go over time, okay?
Okay. Thanks a lot, Dad.
Okay, son.
George, Armand, how do you feel?
Well, you know, it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. I mean, I felt like we really worked on the situation rather than just complaining about each other.
Did you like the outcome, Armand?
Yeah, especially the grace period. I think we both got something out of it. I get a better curfew, and my dad doesn't have to worry about me so much. And I like the way we made the decisions together. I don't feel like my dad still thinks I'm a little kid.
Great. Now let's put together the many ideas we've learned today.
Number 1, be aware of emotional and physical development. Number 2, avoid nagging. Number 3, avoid guilt trips. Number 4, negotiate. Number 5, set clear expectations and consequences. Number 6, praise effort. Number 7, maintain a sense of humor. Number 8, avoid lecturing or attacking. Number 9, be reasonable and consistent. Number 10, give a grace period. Number 11, set limits. Number 12, ensure adult supervision. Number 13, reinforce positive behavior. These 13 concepts can help you discipline your teen and teach him or her responsibility. An excellent way to implement these new parenting skills with your teens is to keep a daily journal. You may want to write down your thoughts and ideas on how you can keep your teens safe and happy while teaching them responsibility and discipline. Keep a written record of issues negotiated between you and your teen, such as being responsible for chores in the house and what rules need to be obeyed, like respecting curfews. Write down how you set limits, how you involve your teen in setting limits, and the consequences for disobeying. Also, write down how you teach your child to respect the rights of others in your family.
We hope watching this video will help you with your teen, and we look forward to working with you again in our next episode of Surviving the Teen Years.